You're on.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Kari's Kitchen. I'm Kari Auringer. I'm the winemaker for Cornerstone Cellars. And for those of you that might have seen some of our other episodes of Kari's Kitchen, you'll notice this is not my husband, Jeff. Hi. This is Beni Dragutsky. Beni and her husband, Mike, are the proprietors of Cornerstone Cellars, and we're lucky enough to have her with us. We sort of roped her in and said, hey, Beni, what's one of your favorite recipes? What's a go-to recipe for you? And she was kind enough and generous enough to join us today, and she's going to show us a really fabulous recipe that I thought was a lot more complex than it is. So I was happy to find that it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of prep, but it's really a pretty easy recipe.
It is. And I'll tell you, it's kind of intimidating cooking for someone like Kari Auringer. And this is a recipe that I've actually had Kari over and prepared for her. And it makes me so happy that she thinks it's complicated because it is so simple. It's one that you want to prepare for company and they will leave saying, oh my gosh, you are a fabulous cook.
I love it. So let's start. Wait, we haven't. Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Just for starters, since we're cooking, we have to be drinking, right?
We are
tasting.
So absolutely.
Fantastic. So this is there are 4 wines actually that we are going to taste today. The first one we happen to have in our glass, it's the 2018 Coralina Rosé Pinot Noir. So we had to start with a little bit of that. So we do have 3 other wines that I think are going to go great with this lamb, and we'll try them at the end and see. So I've got the Merlot from Oakville Station, I've got the Cabernet Franc from Oakville Station, and I've got the soon-to-be-released 2018 Howell Mountain Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know. So I'm going to turn it over to you in the recipe.
Okay, so like I said, this is a great recipe. It will impress people that you're having over, and the simplicity is amazing. This is actually an Ina Garten recipe, and I idol worship her. And this is a recipe from her Foolproof is the name of the cookbook it came from. And I've made several of the recipes, and literally you cannot mess this up. It's fabulous. So we're going to start with some great olive oil and pour it on.
And people often want to know like quantities, and that looks to me maybe about 2 to 3 tablespoons you end up using.
If that.
Yeah, you're just going to cover it. It isn't going to go into the pan.
Right, exactly. And you're going to hope that your hands aren't so greasy that you actually drop the bottle.
Oh well, we have more. That's okay.
Exactly. And then,
so you're fully covering this leg of lamb.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the notes in the recipe that I think is useful is measure your pan. And so when you go to the butcher,
yes,
you don't get a piece of a leg of lamb that's too big. In fact, our butcher here, just cut the shank off.
Yeah.
He said, you want the shank removed, and he did that for me.
Yeah, so that way it will fit in your pan. If had you given you the shank, I would have thrown it in the pan too.
You would have.
I would have.
I gotcha.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so in the seasoning is a tablespoon of kosher salt and a teaspoon of black pepper. Because we have access to these fabulous Cornerstone spices, I added more than a pinch, I would say.
A couple of tablespoons.
A couple of tablespoons. Do you have the?
I do.
Yeah.
And what Benny's referring to is the spice blends that we have that pair with the Cornerstone wine. So we've been working with the Winemaker's Pantry. Sharon DeMonte is the tastemaker over there, and she came through and we had her taste the wines, and she put together some custom spice blends for us, and they're made to pair perfectly with the wine. So for example, the one I have in my hand is Sauvignon Blanc. We also have one for Cabernet Sauvignon, and the one you're using
is the Cab Franc.
The one for the Cabernet Franc.
Yes.
So we do have them in the bottles, but as a wine club member for a couple of different wine club shipments, we were sending these out in small packets and some recipes. So you were able to get your wine club shipments and then get the spices that paired with those wine shipments. So you're using about 2 tablespoons of that, and you're just rubbing that
Rubbing it all over. And so what we're going to do is,
that took like 2 minutes. So simple.
that you just did the hardest part. Okay, it's that simple. I'm going to put it in a Le Creuset and sear it on all sides. And your sear, it's important to get a really good sear on your meat. And I'll do about like the larger sides, about 4 or 5 minutes on
side.
on that, and then the smaller sides I might do like
A little shorter.
yeah, a little shorter,
Yeah.
couple minutes, yeah.
But you want to get nice crispy on the outside.
All in all, maybe I spend 12-15 minutes doing the sear.
Gotcha.
And just FYI, I'm not going to really sear this too much on camera because I have been known to have the fire department show up at my door. So
That's not necessarily a bad thing. They're
well,
cute.
they wanted to stay for dinner. Okay.
There you go. And they didn't have to put out a house fire.
And they did not. They
So,
were like, "What are you
lucky
making?"
for them,
Yeah,
right?
And
Yeah.
I was making this. Yeah, they definitely. Okay.
So no oil in the pan.
no oil in
just
the pan.
a hot
It's
pan.
just what's
Okay.
just what's on the meat.
We're gonna let that
Okay.
sear. So while that's doing it, that's already getting up to speed.
Yeah.
Here's one of the wines we're gonna taste with the lamb. This is the Merlot from the Oakville Station. We source fruit from there for Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot. So this is the Merlot, and we originally started sourcing this 12 or 15 years ago. They planted this for us, and we originally started sourcing this so we could use it as in the blend, put a little bit in the Cabernet Sauvignon. The same with the Cab Franc. And it turns out that Oakville Station is the greatest place for Cabernet Franc. The temperature's perfect, the soil's just right. It's right in the heart of Cab Country. Like that little vineyard, it's Toquilon Vineyard to the north, and then Farniente and Harlan, and you just can't beat the real estate for sure. And so while we do blend some of it into the Cabernet Sauvignon, we do pull back a couple of barrels, our favorite barrels, and we do just a Merlot varietal. So you have Merlot in your glass. Give that a little sniff. And then the second wine, where I saw your eyes light up when I talked about it, the second wine we're going to pour is the 2017 Cabernet Franc from Oakville Station, and that's not released just yet, but it's coming in the September wine club shipment. September or November, I forget. I make the wine. Marketing is not my job.
That's right.
And so-
Exactly. You just stir the barrel.
Exactly, and so the same thing with the Cabernet Franc. We source that to go into the Cabernet Sauvignon, but there's a few barrels that we always love and just set aside, and so we make a little bit that's specifically Cabernet Franc.
Yeah.
So I can hear that now starting to sizzle.
Yeah, we're getting a good sizzle going on there.
So we're not gonna go through the entire process of the sizzle, another 12 minutes. So let's just assume that that's all seared. Then what happens?
So what we would do is, after you get that nice crispy brown sear going on, then you would take a white wine, and I know Kari has talked to everyone about using a really good quality white wine because it shows in your sauce. So what we do is we glaze the pan, get all of those brown crispy pieces, and they're so delicious. They make such a great flavor for the sauce. And scrape that all off. Pour 2 cups of water in, and then we have all of these fabulous.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. So what do you got there? You've
So,
got garlic.
I've got
Yes.
garlic, 2 heads of garlic right here. You don't peel them; you just break them apart. I have the about 15 sprigs each of thyme and rosemary. And the rosemary is very special because this actually came from Kari's garden.
Comes from their garden out back. So, yeah.
And 6 bay leaves.
And that just goes
And that just goes
in the pot.
You just put it at the bottom of the pot.
Yep.
And then you lay the lamb on top of it. And put a cover on it.
Yep.
300-degree oven.
Okay.
4 hours later, fabulous meal.
Fabulous. Now, it gets basted a little bit here and there, right? You just every now and then pop in and baste it.
Okay, maybe not.
You can.
You can.
You don't have to.
should. I don't.
You don't.
always.
You don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, I don't always. It's so moist
Yeah.
and tender, it falls apart. And I don't, I mean, you should baste it, but.
Yeah. No. Okay.
No.
So
Then,
we'll assume that that's all done. You've added all those things.
right. And then what you do is, this is that, when you take the meat out.
I'm just gonna pull this off the sear for now.
Because she doesn't want.
No, we'll come back to
You
it.
don't want to meet the fire department.
No, we don't want, or the fire alarms will go, but we've done that here as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, what can I say?
Yeah. So now it comes back out of
So
the
it
oven.
comes back out of the oven. Take the meat off. You're going to take all of the big pieces that you can just grab out, and that's going to leave this fabulous.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's like a beautiful sauce. Maybe you hold it up just a little, if you can hold it up higher a little bit.
Higher. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, newbie here.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
All right.
Okay.
And this is, so basically what's left is some of the thyme and rosemary, some of the herbs are in there, but primarily it's these nice big chunks of the garlic. And you're going to press that through into the sauce.
You want to press that with a spoon?
Sure, I got it.
Or a fork? You got one?
Okay. Yeah. And it just presses through,
And it's hot.
and it's hot, exactly.
Because that's all, that cooked garlic, you can see it's kind of mushy and it kind of goes through the sieve.
And it just goes right through. And
Delicious.
in fact, I don't know if you can see that, but it's going to come through the bottom.
Yep.
And when you're all done doing this, scrape off the bottom
The
because
best part.
it's the best part. And just leave that on the stove, I would say good 10-15 minutes.
Just like low simmer?
Low simmer.
Okay.
Yeah. And when it's done, pour it over your meat.
The sauce is done.
Dinner's ready.
That's it?
That's it.
I love that. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? The magic of television.
Okay.
We have a finished one.
That's
I'm gonna
right.
go get it. Oh, if only you could smell that. Oh my God.
I know. It
It's
smells
fantastic. Oh my goodness.
so delicious in there. It just smells fabulous. Woohoo! Okay.
Right.
You can't see this.
Oh my goodness.
Carrie's off camera.
And it's just falling apart.
Wow.
Wow. All right. So we started with about 5.5 pounds, right? And this should serve at least 4, 5. He has a bone in there.
Or
right?
one Dragutsky.
Or one Auringer. For sure. All right. I can't wait to try this with the wine.
Okay.
All right.
do
I'm
that.
just gonna. You know,
Do you want to move it here?
I can.
Okay.
You know, it's not one of those dishes that we're gonna actually be able to slice. It just
Right.
falls
It just
apart.
falls apart.
It just
Yeah.
falls apart. Get a little bit of that. And then we have a production manager today, right? So the production manager gets to try it as well.
Okay.
So while you're doing that, we've got 3 wines we're going to taste with this today, with the roasted leg of lamb. And oh my goodness, look at that, it's beautiful. It's just falling apart.
Falls apart.
We're tasting the Merlot from the Oakville Station. We're tasting the 2017 Cabernet Franc from the Oakville Station, and then we've got the 2018 Howell Mountain Cabernet Sauvignon, which we have not released yet, but it's always good to check in and see how it's coming along.
It's like we know someone.
It's as if we know someone. So it, probably next month, I think we're going to be thinking about releasing that. So look at that. I just want to. It's just tender and moist. Like
Oh my God.
normally, I taste the wine, taste the food, taste the wine. I'm just going to taste the food.
Okay.
Oh, that's so tender. I think even people who don't really particularly care for lamb would like this.
That's what I found, is that it's just such an approachable dish that you don't, I know you think, well, will everyone like lamb? When they taste this lamb, they will love it.
It doesn't taste gamey. There's that nice herb from the rosemary and from the thyme and from the bay leaf. All right, so I want you to try it with the Cabernet Franc now, if you must.
I know. It's rough. It's
Yeah,
rough.
I know. And then I've got the 2018. I have the 2018 Howell Mountain Cabernet. Cheers, chef.
Oh, yum.
Cheers. And then I'll go back to, for some of us, some people might have just joined us in the middle. We use the Winemaker pantry spices that are specifically blended for some of our wines, for varietal specific wines. And so what you used in this recipe was the Cabernet Franc.
I did.
The spice blend that Winemaker's Pantry has custom designed for us for the Cabernet Franc.
But I'm going to tell you, I tried the Merlot with it, and this is
Really?
just, oh, yeah. Okay.
Come in.
Go ahead.
I love that it just falls apart. Wow. So
It's so tender and so moist.
it really is.
I know. She's my girl.
Well, I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you,
you for
Kari.
walking us through this great recipe.
Thank you, Kari. Thank you for having me.
This has been great. So now we actually have a lovely dinner coming up afterwards. So we've got some vegetables that we're going to saute to go along with this.
And where are they from?
Those came from Sean Robinson, our hospitality manager at Cornerstone Cellars. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate that.
Yes.
So we've got some squash over there, some squash, and some haricot vert.
Yes.
So we're going to prepare that along with it, and then we're just probably going to do a saute on that. Oh, and he's got purple jalapenos. I am not sure what to do with these yet,
I've never seen them before.
but they're jalapenos, and so, you know.
We don't get those in Tennessee. Wow.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us. This has been great.
Thank you, Kari, for having me.
I can't wait to have you back again.
I will be here as
All
often
right.
as you want.
All right.
Love it.
So we'll see you next week. I think next week we're going to be doing some wine pairing with cheese. Some specific cheeses, some artisan cheeses. We're going to see if we can find some local cheeses that'll pair with the wine. So we're working on that this week. So
Oh, that
maybe
sounds-
you join us.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fabulous.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.